what's going on, guys? It's your boy KLA Cloud the Wanderer, and yeah, this is the Barber Comic, and uh, gentleman by the name of Mike, the creator, writer. He's here to tell the story how he came up with this concept. How you been?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. Really
Oh,
appreciate that.
absolutely, yeah. Thank you for taking the chance on the comic that's not even released yet.
No, it's not released.
No,
Oh, yeah. I mean, it caught my attention on Instagram.
yeah, I've been
It's
working on it
uh,
for a while, and I actually just started the process of. It's funny because I've been working in the dark with the editor, writer, and an artist for a while now. The artist in particular for like a year. So this thing's been in the dark, and now it's about to get ready to get launched, and so I've just started the process of getting the word out, and that's like a whole it's like a whole other thing. So yeah, even my Instagram for this particular comic, I mean I have a personal Instagram, but this for the comic, the Instagram has only been up like three weeks.
okay. Oh, well, just 3 weeks. Wow, is this your first comic?
Yeah, it's my first comic.
Okay. Like, how did you come with the concept? I mean, it's an interesting concept about the future. Could doesn't exist, and you have like these special barbers, and they're like, well, why don't you explain it? You're probably better than what I can explain.
Yeah, it's just in like 125 years in the future, the country's sort of been remixed into like seven new republics by a civil war, and these barbers anyway are sort of they are trained by the order of the guild, which is kind of a stoic monastic kind of combination, like a stoic Buddhist kind of combo. And they travel from one war torn territory to the other to freshen up dudes' fades. And that's the premise.
Uh, why barber? Why did you pick that? Curiosity. Barber
Yeah,
yourself, or
no, no, not at all. It's a good question. I mean, I think the initial impulse for I don't know. Do you write it and draw it all, or
well, I draw. I draw. I stopped kind of drawing. Wow, I'm in and I've tried to like write comics and draw, illustrate, but it's not very easy. So I fell back a bit.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I watched I think your last episode. I mean, like everyone else, I went to art school. I didn't draw this comic, but I went to art school, so I've always had an interest in comics. Um, but so the way the initial idea just came up because whenever I watch like dystopian future movies or anything with like black dudes, they always have like a fresh cut, and I was like who's cutting these dudes' hair in the future? Like someone's got to be cutting these dudes' hair. Like like how it's just funny because I know for a fact we would still keep up. We would still keep up even in the dystopian future. So it was kind of like that was the impulse, but when an impulse isn't a story. So once you're like, oh, that's kind of an interesting idea, you got to sort of develop it into something that actually is a story. Um, so I think the premise is a hook for the story, but that was the premise, and it's kind of like a. I mean, I'm in the process of kind of like giving the elevator pitch, so I appreciate the opportunity to even be on and kind of develop a
Yeah,
presentation. But it's it's kind of like the best way I could describe it, maybe, and I don't even know if this is that accurate. It's kind of like a maybe like Shaft meets Escape from New York. So it kind of has like a campy, but not too campy sort of vibe.
okay. Yeah. Well, I see the illustrations. Well, we could. So who's the focus on? What's his name?
He just goes by the barber. I mean,
Okay.
he has a name, but it'll be revealed along
Right.
the way in the story. But he's known as the Barber, so he's kind of a stoic loner type character.
Yeah. All right. So this is the panels and stuff.
Yeah.
He's
So
there's gangsters, there's gangster guys here.
yeah. So let's see here. The let's see. So it's geographically centered around two cities: Model City, which is kind of like the main city, and then the outer territories that are ruled by sort of gangsters and outlaws. And so this is the opening scene of the comic where the barber you're introduced for the barber for the first time cutting hair for a gangster in the outer territory.
Right. Okay. So yeah.
And then
So
that's the gangster.
yeah. Probably. Yeah. So how long did it take you to write the story?
So it took about, and this is going to seem, I've been working on it for over a year, and that doesn't mean I was working on it every day for over a year.
Yeah.
But I've been developing it for over a year, and I mean, this is like a behind the scenes type of story, but since I have a background in illustration and I've been interested in comics my whole life, but I hadn't written an entire script. So I actually wrote an entire other comic and had it illustrated, and I lettered it myself, just so I could kind of go through the entire process before I wrote this issue. So maybe someday that will be released, and that sort of like helped me understand where my weaknesses were, and so then when I could use that to develop this story, which I have to say I have to give a lot of credit to Alexander Bosnick, who's the artist, who's amazing, and then
Okay.
also another writer and editor, Brian Hawkins, who took my initial script and like plussed it up big time. And he actually wrote the script. I mean, we kind of both wrote the script, but he wrote a lot of it. And he also, one thing he contributed a lot was also that was really important was editing. Sorry, what was the question?
Like how long did it take you to just like
Oh yeah.
complete
Sorry.
the story?
So yeah, after I finished the first comic, the entire process after I finished the first comic, this one probably took about 2 or 3 months, and it's basically almost completely illustrated. It's 30 pages. I think like 25 or 26 are done. So it's in the final stages. So like, maybe 3-4 months for this particular issue, but to work out the entire story, to write like a story Bible and figure out the characters and the storyline, that took me like over a year.
So yeah, so he's appreciating his cut and is this the same? Same.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to go to the first one, I'll walk you through. I can walk you through the story.
And
So that's page 1. It's kind of introducing you to the character, showing what he does, just establishing the character. And then the second one reveals the barber, and it's kind of a kind of Weasley looking gangster dude.
yeah.
And then
Now is he gonna be like in few issues, or like what is this, like a whole a whole
yeah.
story or just like a series?
So for this story, like I have probably not completely plotted out, but I know the storyline for probably 7 or 8 issues. So he's in a few issues, and it's just establishing the barber and the environment that he's in, and he goes up against this guy in the first couple issues, and this guy is kind of like he's a local warlord, sort of local gangster,
Mm-hmm.
kind of mid-tier, full of himself, kind of overly confident for where he's at in the on the gangster ladder.
Right.
But he thinks he's got it. So the second stage is just the barber shaping him up, and he's like, "Damn, you got me looking good, brother." And then he's about to walk out. Oh, and then yeah, he's like, I'm gonna tell all my friends about you. I run this territory, and you're about to be hood certified. Um, and then so that's he thinks that's his payment. He's like, I'm gonna tell my people about you. Uh, Till next time, then. And the barber's not even stressing. He's like, that's cool, but you forgot a little something, my payment. And so the henchman steps up and is like, Mr. Power's payment's going to be him telling others about you. And the barber's like, oh, is that right? And so this is the very opening scene. It's just establishing
Yeah.
the barber.
Yeah, this was
What he does.
so yeah, it's interesting. What was like your inspiration to like movies of the future?
I mean, man, what did you read growing up? I read like Daredevil, and I'm a comic fanatic, so
I mean, I wasn't like consistent with like comic book reading, but I would like movies that went to it. I remember there was the series called Into the Badness, and it was like it took like 100, but the future it like it didn't it went I went it was more of a Wild West samurai martial arts type of thing. It was a cool series, and it had supernatural to it too and stuff.
What was it called?
And yeah, Into the Bad.
Into the Bad. When did that? That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that came out like that was on series.
Was it like a Marvel comic or?
Nah, I don't think it was based on any comic. It just was like a series.
Into the Bad?
It Badlands.
Oh, Into the Bad. Isn't that?
Yeah.
Is that Terry Moore or something?
The guy his name was Sonny, and he was raised by these samurai like henchmen and stuff like that. And yeah, he was trained. And so they had like different like sects of warriors and stuff like that.
Was the opening scene a guy like driving to a house in the desert and then he like killed someone or something?
I don't remember. I have to look back on it, but it kind of remind me of that. I mean, I was just reading some of it. Yeah, and the scene that like the story, like this story that you wrote, it was like future in from I read it's like America doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that out. I mean, I love getting turned on to new stuff. It's funny in the limited experiences I've had, people have suggested a few things that this is like. One of them was Anthony Bourdain, the food critic, traveling food critic. He wrote a comic, kind of similar, but based on food. But Into the Badlands, that sounds pretty cool. Actually, I'm gonna check that out definitely.
Yeah. But back to the story. You said like in the story, like America doesn't exist. It has like different sections.
Yeah, good question. So yeah, in this, thanks for asking these questions because it helps. It sorts out what it's about. But yeah, in the future, America is divided into sort of 7 new republics, kind of based on political fault lines that you would find today. But this story focuses on the Western Republic, the Western Territory, So it's basically kind of like a sci-fi western, and so you could kind of think of the Barber as a cowboy, except instead of a gun, he has clippers, and instead of a horse, he rides kind of like a rat rod motorcycle. Um, so, I mean, it was inspired by different things. I mean, one thing was probably inspired by was maybe the politics of today and where
Right.
that those fractions could take us.
Right.
Um, and then on the other hand, it was just inspired by adventure comics and movies, like I said, Escape from New York, Frank Miller's Batman. I mean, I've read. I mean, the list could go on. Um,
Yeah.
what was the movie? The Warriors. Remember that movie, Warriors?
Yeah. The Warriors. Yeah. Yeah. The Warriors.
When I
Okay.
was a
Yeah.
kid, I saw that as a kid, and I thought that's actually how New York was.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen that. I've seen it like 30 years ago, but I was up there and people were watching it. I was somewhere and I took a nap. I started noticing people was watching it, and that's when I seen it. But I didn't actually see the so like not too long ago. I watched the whole thing, and it was
Oh,
like wow, that's the because like over people I would hear people say, "Well, let's come out and play." I mean,
yeah,
I seen part of the movie, like the million, but I didn't see what happened, stuff like that. I knew they was like wanted by other gangs and stuff like that.
You-
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
saw it recently?
yeah. Recently, not long ago, stuff, and it was. I mean, it was interesting.
It was definitely it had a vibe to it. I mean, the story it was about the energy of the movie and the
Yeah,
characters and the
over exaggerated.
yeah,
I would say, about New York, but it was. I mean, it was watchable. I could see why
yeah.
people like the movie. So
It's as a kid, I didn't get it was kind of supposed to be over the top. I thought that's like how New York was. I thought there was gangs running around New York. I was like, damn.
yeah, yeah. I mean, around that time, New York. I mean, parts of New York that was bad,
Yeah, it was
but
rough. I mean,
yeah,
it was taken to the next level. But yeah, New York was rough in the '80s for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think there was this documentary on New York about like during the 70s, and it was like to a point where I think the cops like they wouldn't like they I don't want to say on strike, but like
Yeah,
if something happened, drastic happened, they wouldn't do anything.
yeah,
From what
absolutely.
I
There was
know,
areas they wouldn't go. Yeah, there's great documentaries on that. There's areas they wouldn't go
yeah,
into, and like, so I think that anxiety is kind of like what the Warriors is about, right? They were projecting into the future. There was like, damn,
yeah,
which is funny because it went the exact opposite way. Right now, it's like completely gentrified.
yeah, yeah. So what I was going to ask you, like with the so you had made this comic, like, so you didn't put it out yet, right? That from what I understand.
Right. And you can
Yes.
you can read. Did you could read basically the preview that you showed on the
Yeah.
website.
Yeah. So so like so the Kickstarter.
Yeah, so I'm gearing up for a Kickstarter.
Okay. All right. All right. So like what is your plans like when you release this comic?
Um, you know, it's funny because making the comic is one thing, and then promoting it is a whole other thing. That artists just I don't really want to do it, but I'm like, but you have to. So I'm just sort of gearing up for that. But the plan is to just start getting the word out, uh, sending some advanced copies, just kind of getting feedback on what I have so far. Um, and Brian Hawkins was great for that because he wrote a lot of this and also edited the original plot. So I think it's in a good place. I think he thinks it's in a good place. So, but you don't know, so now I guess the point is getting the feedback I've gotten so far has been pretty encouraging. On the other hand, the comic's not out yet, so you just have to do the best you can and hope for the best. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged with the feedback I've gotten so far.
And when is the comics going to be released again?
I'm going to start the Kickstarter in about a month, maybe a little bit longer. And then 30 days after that, when it's over, that's when I'll be able to release it. So a couple months.
So earlier you said that you created a comic before this.
Yeah. So like I was saying, I was like, you know what? I think I can tell a comic story. I think I can tell a decent comic story. But you don't know. So I was like, okay, let me put together an entire comic, which by the way let me just put together an entire comic, write it by myself, work with an artist on getting it illustrated, letter it, and kind of just, I don't have to show it to anyone, just kind of just take a look at the finished product and see if I have something that's sort of worth continuing. Mm-hmm. And so I made it, and the art was amazing. The bones of the story were there, the pacing was there, but there was definitely some weaknesses, which I was able to be like, okay, I can see now what I need to work on. And that's when I got in touch with Brian Hawkins, and he sort of acted as the editor for that particular issue. But that was just an expensive way of creating an entire story to kind of see where I was before I actually started the main storyline for the Barber.
Yeah.
And maybe someday, I wish I had. Do you want me to send you? You want me to send you a page from it?
Which page? Well, you sent me some other pages we didn't look at. Check this out.
Yeah, so that's the.
Yeah.
Besides the Barber, there's two other characters that set up the initial story. That's Model City.
Yes. What's how do you create these cities and all that stuff?
Yeah, so Model City, I kind of wanted to think about what a city might be like in the future.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, this is going to be a lot of research to kind of sort this out. But there's actually a foundation that created this entire plan and map and models for like a future city. I wish I remembered the name of it, because it's just a think tank right now, but it's sort of funded by this billionaire, and so they have this plan to build this entire city in the desert. And so Model City is kind of based on that concept. It's kind of like what would if you were to start from scratch with a city. And so it kind of has like like a future Atlanta feel. It's like mostly like Black people, because they were given as part of the reparations in the West, they were given land in the desert, and so they had a big hand in creating Model City. So it's multicultural, but there's a lot of Black people. It's much like Atlanta, I would say, like Black Atlanta, but kind of in the West.
So why does America exist in the future?
Why doesn't it?
Yeah, why doesn't it in your story?
Because the politics of the regions, they basically, after the Civil War, just decided to break it up. I mean, people say that now, like why not, just let California be California, let the other states be the other states. So in the future, they just, after Civil War, just redistributed the
Oh,
territories.
okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. They usually they said that like with California, they wanted to be like one territory.
I mean, people jokingly say that, California say that, and
Oh,
then
oh, okay.
others, Texas will say, it's very rooted in Civil War. So a lot of the story predates kind of like the what's going on currently. I mean, even the
Right.
politics of the day, you could trace that back to the Civil War and before.
Yeah, I
So
heard the Civil War was like that. They wanted to separate like America, split America apart.
yeah, they wanted to secede,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so this is nothing. This is nothing too, and so this is a second Civil War where they actually did break up America into separate republics.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting story. Like how far like what's like the purpose of the barber? Like is he on a mission or
Yeah, that's also another really great question. Yeah, so the barber, so like I said, or maybe I didn't say, the guild is kind of a monastic order, and they sort of they arose out of the Civil War.
yeah.
That's kind of like a Black Panthers sort of like self-reliance type of thing. And as they and to make money, they did haircuts, and as they became more renowned for their haircuts, the religion and their profession became intertwined. So in the West, which in the outer territories is pretty lawless and chaotic, they're kind of looked at like maybe like the Black Panthers might be, as like you know admired for like their civility and their self-reliance. And the barber was an orphan who was raised in the guild and trained as kind of like I hate the word missionary because not a missionary, but some barbers leave the guild and they sort of like travel around to be representative of the guild, and they don't necessarily proselytize. Um, but with that, they're always finding themselves getting in situations where they have to kick people's asses or getting themselves into trouble. So at the heart of the story is what the barber's moral beliefs are and how he can maintain his integrity in a world that's not so black and white, right? Um, so did that answer the question about the guild or about where he came from? I'm sorry, I forgot what the question was.
Um yeah, you talked about you explained the guild, but now well you explained how he was raised through the guild. But my original question was like, what was his purpose? Like he's on a mission. You did say yeah, and then you kind of explained about the guild.
Yeah, so the guild, so his purpose, so the guild is like I said, like you could think of him as like a wandering monk. Wandering
Okay.
monks basically they sort of like leave the monastery on a mission for their own enlightenment, and then also to kind of be a representative of Buddhism, although Buddhists don't necessarily proselytize. So he's not like he's not recruiting people, but
Right.
he's a representative of what he thinks is like a stoic better way of living, and he can represent that through his actions,
Mm.
um, while maintaining his personal integrity. But when things go sideways, or like you can have your own moral code. Like I'm not gonna steal, but when you're hungry enough, where are your morals then? Or you could say I'm not going to kill, but if someone kills someone you love, and you have the chance to take revenge, your sort of like integrity is put to the test. So there's those type of challenges. Um, you know, your your internal model for what you believe is kind of put to the test in the real world, especially when the real world is really violent.
I mean, who's the antagonist? Like the world, or like people like negative element he come across?
Yeah. So the antagonist is embodied by the character that you had up on the screen earlier.
Let me see. Oh, what the gangster guy?
Yeah, the guy he had his hands.
Which one? This
Yeah.
gentleman. Oh, okay.
So there's kind of a triangle. There's the barber who cuts this guy's hair, but this guy is the kingpin of Model City. So he's the kind of like he's the behind the scenes sort of runs a lot of Model Cities corruption. So the barber encounters Mr. Z, and as he sees the corruption firsthand and violence firsthand, he starts to question, you know, what his place is, and just cutting hair, how much he's either contributing or ignoring. And if you cut to the female character, and so this is Jessica talking to Mr. Z. Jessica is the mayor. So there's the barber, Jessica, and Mr. Z sort of form a triangle. Jessica is the new mayor of Model City.
Yeah.
And she's sort of made a Faustian bargain with Mr. Z to become mayor. He backed her, and now he's going to want some loyalty. And Jessica wants to do the right thing and for the city and for the future of the West. But she's now also she got in bed with Mr. Z. So between Jessica realizing that she may have bitten off more than she can chew, making a deal with Mr. Z, and with the barber realizing that the corruption and violence that Mr. Z is capable of, they both sort of start to question what their role is in this society. And that's really the story. But along the way, there's like a lot of exotic bad guys and ass kicking and like a little bit of humor.
All right. Well, what was like your favorite part of writing this story?
Oh man, the favorite part of writing the story is finding out what happens next. Just for me, I hope that people read it and they want to know what happens next, because when I'm writing it, I want to know what happens next, and that's like what fuels me when writing it. Like you start off with, you basically put these characters in play, and you're like, what if this happens? And you're like, oh damn, and then you're like, and that leads to the next thing. So just the fun is just putting the pieces together and finding out what happens. Did you do much writing?
I went to I mean, not art school, but I took it courses and stuff like that, and I remember like I wrote like a story about how this guy, he was an inmate and he got released, and this was in the future. He witnessed some and stuff like that. This was years ago, but I never really like finished it or anything like that. Yeah, it was for a class that I took. And then I try to like write a story about this girl, like she's from this planet, and it was like a Princess Leia type of thing. And I called it like the muscle goddess of the moon. It was from a bodybuilder and stuff like that I liked, I admired on social media and stuff like that. And yeah, so yeah, Yeah, I didn't really. I was trying to like flesh out the story, but it couldn't. I couldn't really like break through to it. Then I did like an actual. Well, I could. I might as well show you something I did.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I might as well. I did this years ago. This is a story about a guy. His name is Han Shin, and he
So
meets this guy, a ruffian, like in the street on the street, and at the time this was like in ancient China, and he he um he used to carry a sword. He practiced martial arts and all that type of stuff, and so that one day the ruffian, like he seen him, and so he was like, you did carry that sword, and so he was challenging Han Xin to what you're gonna do about it with the sword. He was trying to challenge him. If you're not gonna kill me with the sword, then crawl between my legs. And so humbly he crawled between his legs and stuff like that.
yeah, that's a dope opening,
This
man.
is
You
yeah,
gotta you
this
gotta
it's like my
yeah,
version of it. And yeah. So Han Xin, he was like a general of Liu Bang in ancient China and stuff like that. He had an army and stuff. So I don't know. At the time, I kind of pictured him being like a big bully or something like that. But the thing was, and anybody could be a bully. It could
yeah,
be
yeah,
regular
yeah,
size and stuff like that. But I think I used that. I was kind of picturing that
yeah,
like Bluto from Popeye, because he was a big bully and stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he just came to my mind every time. But he in the story, the guy was like an average dude. So yeah, but I just, this was my version of it, that he was a bigger dude and stuff like that. So
It's a dope opening, man. You gotta finish that.
yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of did, and this was like my art. Like it was for I was in this school, the art instruction school,
Yeah, I know that
Minneapolis.
story in the comic books.
Yeah, Charles
I want.
Schwartz. He the guy that created the Peanuts. He attended this school. He even
Yeah,
worked there too.
he
From
taught
what I
there. Oh,
know. Yeah,
that's right. He did. He.
yeah.
You're right. He did go there. I
Yeah,
forgot
yeah. He
about that.
also he started off doing that, and then he taught also. Yeah, and this was a competition, and they said that I had to like work on my character design and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, yeah. They had
Yeah,
different, yeah,
it's funny. As a kid, I know it's the famous artist school. I think famous artist
yeah,
school.
yeah. It takes yeah. I when I was a teenager, I started doing it, and then I stopped, and then like years later, I did it again. I graduated, but I didn't do anything with it. So
Yeah, the that was the one where you had to send in. You would. That's funny because
yeah, yeah,
nobody under 40 will have any idea of what we're talking about. But you
yeah.
had to you had to draw a
It still
picture of
exists
a
now.
favorite.
Yeah, it used to come. I didn't mean to cut you off. It used
No, no,
to
no,
come
no.
on TV, the TV commercial and all that stuff.
Oh, I saw. I don't remember TV. I saw it in the back of comics. Those
Yeah,
those course books when I was a kid were legendary, though. Did you get the course books?
yeah. I did everything. They had like shading. They
Yeah,
had like perspective drawing. It was a lot like they calligraphy. They had painting. You had to like know how to do the mixture. Then and then you had to know how to do the shading. Like if you're drawing somebody,
yeah.
like especially like illustrations and cartooning and all that type of stuff.
They had a
Yeah,
whole
so,
series of course books, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
those course
yeah,
books are really good. I
yeah,
remember I wanted
yeah.
to get those. As a kid.
You read them. They said like, and it was the first lesson, they start off you with like basic drawing shapes and stuff,
Yeah.
and then from then on they give you more lessons till they give you a test at the end. And yeah, they give, of course, they go over your work, what
Yeah.
you kind of lack and need to work on, really.
You would
And
send in your
so
work, and wouldn't they send it back like marked up with like comments and
yeah,
stuff?
they'll do
Yeah,
that.
that was actually,
Yeah,
yeah, some really famous illustrators taught there.
yeah,
I didn't know it was still going
yeah,
though. That's interesting.
yeah, yeah.
But
So
yeah,
are you?
you gotta hook that up, man. What stopped you from finishing it? Do you think?
Well, I mean, it was the end of the story. So like,
Oh,
I
you
was
finished it.
just, yeah. I even try to animate it, but it ain't go the way I want it to go. I don't know. I just yeah, sometimes I would like do like certain story, like I'll write a story and draw and stuff like that. And but I don't know. Sometimes it wasn't very easy for me. So, I just kind of fell back from drawing like all overall, because
Yeah,
for I can't really tell you the reason, but sometimes I was doing other stuff. So yeah, I think my thing was consistency. Like I wasn't always consistent.
yeah.
Yeah,
That grind is hard. There's a lot to be
yeah,
said.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
doing something consistently. I mean, that's really where you know nobody wants to do anything all the time, right? Like
yeah,
I'm sure boxers don't want to get up and run every day, but
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have there's an old classmate of mine. I mean, he's a comic book artist.
oh yeah,
Yeah, like over the years, he worked with Marvel, DC. He even did a comic book with the Black Eyed Peas and stuff like
oh,
that.
who's that? What's his name?
His name is Damian Scott.
Okay.
Like, I could show you. Hold on. This is what he did. I gotta type his name. Well, before we do, we can look at your Instagram and stuff like that for a bit. Yeah, so this is some of your illustrations, and
Yeah, that's Alexander Bosnick
yeah,
illustrations.
yeah,
So
this
yeah,
is
I mean, like I said, you can get a good sense of the comic just by reading the first several pages on the
yeah,
website. Like that was I mean, the comic so there's the plot, there's the art, there's the lettering, there's the
yeah,
editing, but the
right,
final story is kind of the combination of all those things. So all those things separately are kind of stories on their own,
right,
but the actual comic is. So this is the bad guy stepping out of the barbershop in other territories. And I also got to give a shout out to the Gnarly Ghost at the Gnarly Ghost, who colored that. Oh, you know what? You can play that. That's really short, but you can.
Well, I don't know. Is this a copyright? I don't want the
No, no,
YouTube
no.
stuff. So.
Actually, I bought that song so I can use it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's it.
Wow, that's cool. That's
And
cool.
really, that's really that's probably a better pitch than I gave, but that little trailer sort of like sets up the premise,
Yeah,
and
yeah. So you
hopefully,
also, so you had other. No, I ain't mean to cut you off. I was just asking.
no,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna ask you, like, so you had other people like work on your story too, and you to flesh it out, like make it into
Absolutely,
dialogues?
absolutely, yeah. I wrote.
Yeah,
So I wrote an initial script. Basically, I just wrote the entire
yeah,
thing, and then I need to look back and see whatever. But and then I sent it to Brian Hawkins, and he kind of traced over it, and he wrote a lot of the script, and which was really important. But he also edited it, which to me, like there was a scene he took out, a very short scene. So
mm,
my advice to anyone, regardless of where you are, is get a good editor. But so yeah, shout out to Brian Hawkins. He wrote this comic called Black Cotton, and I think he wrote a new book, Blocked. Um, um, so it's definitely collaboration for sure.
yeah, yeah. Well, I could show you this guy, my old classmate stuff, real
Yeah.
quick. Yeah, yeah. This is him right here. So yeah,
Okay.
this is what he does. It's his drawings and stuff. Let me
Oh
see.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
wait. Was it
yeah,
Rashid West? Oh shit, he's good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know,
What's it?
he worked on Cassandra Cain as Batgirl in the 2000s and stuff like that.
What? Sorry, what's
So
his name
I've
again?
been wanting. His name is Damian Scott. I've been wanting to like to do an interview with him, but I don't know, kind of whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, he'd be
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Well, not for him. Yeah, like So
No,
you
it's
ever
cool.
thought about doing like yeah, but it's your thing. It's your thing. But like you ever thought about like doing animation and stuff like that?
No, I just want to create a good product. Like all my focus is on creating the story. Like
Yeah,
there's creating the story, and there's so many elements to it, and I mean, just making one good story, and then
right.
we'll take the next step after that. I mean, in some other universe, of course, I would love to for it to be animated or turned into a show, but those aren't even things that I'm focused on, because if the comic isn't good, well, there's no point. I'm
Yeah,
focusing on anything else.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so just make sure that you make a good story, and at the very least, make a story that you truly can put up against other good comics and think that it's just as good. So that's really my only goal. I mean, of course, in the back of my head, somewhere there's a dream where maybe it gets picked up, or maybe people really like it and it gains a following. But like I said, all that is based on creating something that actually is good.
all right. Do you have like other projects like outside of this?
I mean, I work for a living. I'm a designer. And illustrator. I mostly do graphic design, but in previous iterations of my job, I had to use a lot of illustration as well. So I work for a television network, which will not be named, but so I'm around stories all the time, and my main job is creating this comic and figuring out how to pay for it, and along with all my other bills.
Okay, okay.
But, but, I, but I do make art as well. Um,
Yeah. Why you didn't, out of curiosity, didn't you why you do why didn't you do
the
your own
illustration.
your own illustration? That's what I'm trying to ask
Yeah, because there's people way better at
you. Okay. Fair,
illustrating comic books than me, for
fair
sure.
enough. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I think the whole thing is just like making a story and just fleshing it out and like having somebody do it for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I designed the characters. I send him
Right.
designs of the key things I want. But like I said, you got for me, you have to put your ego aside and make something that you think is going to be a good comic at the end of the day. Like, there's nothing I won't, no advice I won't listen to. Like, if someone says this is terrible and they're a good editor, I'm not my feelings aren't going to be hurt. I'm going to look into what they're saying and try and make it better. So, if there's a better illustrator, a better editor, whatever that will help me get to where I want this thing to be, then I'm all for it. So that's why I didn't illustrate this, but way better illustrators than me.
Yeah. Okay.
And shout out,
Yeah.
I gotta say, shout out to Alec Sandar is his name, Alexander Bozic. I mean, some of these pages I almost like, it's like Christmas when you get them in. And then also the Gnarly Ghost. I forgot his name is Drew, but his Instagram, he did that color. Can you put the first illustration, the color one up real quick? Just so I can give them a shout out.
Okay.
Yeah, so Alexander Bozic and Gnarly Ghost Drew. I mean, when you get some of these things back, you're just like, okay, I think this is gonna work.
Okay. Yeah, man.
Yep. So that I guess let me ask you, what drew you to this? Did it makes the premise sort of like draw you in, or if you
I'm sorry, you kind of broke up.
Oh, I was asking you what drew you to the comic?
That's a good question. I don't know, like, because I kind of see, on Instagram, I browse on, people creativity, and I seen it. I was like, I like the illustration to it, and then I was like looking at the story. At first, I don't know. I was like, the barber, like, wow, that's kind of strange. I thought like maybe somebody that was a barber, like I thought it was like a promotion, really, of somebody's stuff. Like they was a barber and they was kind of making their own comic, So because sometimes you don't know, some people, they surprise you on certain things. So yeah, and then I was like, like it seemed kind of interesting. The future and barbers there, and see what this is about. Yeah, so that's why I reached out to you.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's funny. I'd like to get this into some barbershops. I would love to see this.
Yeah,
sold at barbershops. People reading it like while they're getting their haircut.
Yeah. I was thinking like maybe you could have made him into a hitman or something like that. The barber. I was like, I was thinking that. Yeah.
So in the future, the barber, the guild where barbers are trained.
Yeah.
There are other barbers as well, and you kind of think of the guild as like the Jedi, but there's barbers who have gone to the dark side too. So there's probably some barbers out there that are hitmen or ex-barbers who are like hitmen or working for like warlords. So there's probably there's another hitman barber out there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it, man. I really appreciate you.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, giving me the opportunity to talk with you, and I would like to check it out also.
You know what, man? When it's done, I'm gonna send you. I'll send you an advance. I'll send you an advance copy.
All right, I appreciate that. Yeah.
And is this live?
This is recorded.
Oh, good. So, if you want, you can just wait till you you get a copy to put this out, and then you can kind of judge for yourself.
But how far though? Like I gotta, how long gotta wait?
Oh, I mean, you'll be waiting at least a month to get the advanced copy.
Yeah, because sometimes I have other news, and some I would have to like delete some of the interviews because it's a lot and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I
no
don't.
pressure. I wasn't no pressure at all because
Yeah,
you were surprised, that, rightly so, that you didn't know the issue was out. So I'm just saying,
yeah,
if you want to wait to actually read the product before you put this out, but it doesn't. Either way, it's totally cool with me. Whatever you want to do.
yeah. I
Yeah,
really appreciate
appreciate it.
you. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, I hope. Are you thinking about going to like comic book conventions and stuff like that and promote it there?
Yeah, I
Like,
think
where
I'm
are you?
gonna.
Where are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay, all right, I
Yeah.
got you, got
So
you. Yeah,
yeah, I want to get enough material to make it worth my while to go to conventions. But I mean, man, the promotion circuit. I mean, even being on screen is like not my thing.
yeah,
Uh, I'm more of a behind the scenes type producer. Um, so putting yourself out there like this is crazy for me. But at the same time, like I said, you got to do what you got to do, right? Like, so
yeah,
I appreciate the opportunity to kind of even, you know, get this thing rolling just a little bit. And
yeah.
yeah, when I send you a copy, let me know what you think. Do not, no pressure to say it's good, because I actually don't want anyone saying it's good unless they think it's good. And
I mean, I mean, I show the illustrations. I mean, it's gonna make people want to check it out. In my opinion,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not. Like I said, the comic book is everything put together, but the illustrations are definitely going to catch people's eye
yeah,
and sell it initially for sure. I mean, these guys. I mean, honestly, unfortunately, Alexander Bozic doesn't. He has a webpage, but he doesn't have an Instagram. But Gnarly Ghost does.
but
And
let me
he
hold
just did
on.
he just did the coloring, but his work is
Like,
insane.
does he has an Instagram or something? Maybe I could
Yeah, it's Gnarly
show his
Ghost.
stuff there. Hold on, gnarly
Um,
ghost. Um,
and Alexander Bosnick, he
how
does
you
have gnarly, like
gnarly ghost? How you spell that?
GNARLY, gnarly, and then ghost. And it's not like he didn't do other coloring, but what he did do on this one piece just kind of like blew my.
There's different gnarly ghosts.
I think it's the
Um,
green. I can't see it that well. It might be the green one. Let me look real quick.
oh, is this it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, his stuff is tight.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man, appreciate it.
Yeah. But anyway, man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Hey, anytime, brother. Anytime, man. Keep up the good work,
All
and
right.
you gotta do your thing, man. Get that comic published.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, you're not you're like, I would say, you're not the only person that told me that that they like my stuff that I showed you. So
Yeah,
yeah, but
every
sometimes. No, go
all
ahead.
the
Go ahead.
there's a huge community. I mean, we're all just huge fans and geeks, and we all sort of think like, I should make a comic, and I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, do it, man, do it. Just
yeah,
if you can't do the whole thing at once, just break that shit into a few chunks. Just finish a few pages, put it out a few pages at a time. I mean,
yeah.
you did most of the work.
Huh?
I said you've already done most of the work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, let me leave you alone, but I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No worries.